In this interview, I talk with Nick True of mappedoutmoney.com. He's a coach and kind of a cash flow budget coach, works with entrepreneurs in their personal life and business life and helps them get their budgets in shape and be intentional about their money instead of wondering where it went. He shares his story of how over the last 12 months, he did one partnership with a company who was a non-competitive company with his, but served similar clients, and has generated about $18,000 in revenue of two different products, a group coaching product and a one-on-one coaching product. He talked about several other partnerships he's done since then. So listen out, look for the details of this. Specifically pay attention to, and this is a unique thing about Nick's story, pay attention to how he discovered this company and how he figured they would be a good fit for him and the products that he sold. So enjoy this interview with Nick True. So Nick, what's your business? What do you sell? Who do you help?
Yeah. So I'm in the personal finance space. And so kind of the main thing that we do is just help people learn how to manage their money. We don't manage people's money and invest for them. It's all on the coaching side of how do you actually use your money in a way to build a life that you really love and care about. So it's all about the budgeting and money management stuff.
Who's your best fit client?
So our best fit client is usually going to be somebody who's kind of in the middle of their life. So think late 30s to mid 40s. We do help people on either end of the spectrum, but ideally they're middle of their life, couple of kids at home, making, middle class to upper middle class sort of income. And they're just struggling with the cash flow, right? They got a lot of expenses because they got kids and all this stuff and activities. And they're making good money, but they feel like it just slips through their fingers and they can't get a grip on why they can't seem to get ahead and save as much as they want. And so we kind of help them figure out how to do all that.
And how do you help them? What do you sell? Is it coaching, course, combination?
So we have three products, two sort of core products. One is an introductory product that's like $39, and it's what we call sort of a audit checklist or a budget tune-up. The idea is that somebody who really wants something DIY can purchase that, and I basically talk them through how I typically do a coaching call. And so I allow somebody to sort of audit their own budget in the way that I would typically audit a budget in a live call. So that sort of leads to the two core products that drive most of our revenue. One is just simple one-on-one coaching. So similar to what we're doing now, hop on a quick call. They share their screen with me and we dive deep on sort of the mechanics of how they're budgeting, what's going on, how we can achieve their dreams and work that way through. And we do that one-on-one. And then we also have a group coaching program that we will work people through. And it's sort of a mixture of a DIY class, but you get a lot of help from myself and then one other coach that we have as well.
And what's the price point of those three products?
So the price point on the DIY budget tune-up is $39. Mm-hmm. The one-on-one coaching is $150 an hour. And we sell that in a bundle for people who want to work with me over 3 to 5 months. And we'll do a handful of calls spaced out. And the price point of that is $997. Mm-hmm. And then our group coaching program, we've currently priced it at $495. But to be perfectly honest, we've run that 7 times now in a live sort of accelerator cohort model. Mm-hmm. We're actually in the process of restructuring a little bit about the way we do that. But 500 is what we've been doing.
And which one takes the lion's share of revenue?
The one-on-one consulting or the one-on-one coaching and the group coaching are almost split down the middle. Our total overall business revenue, those two combined make up 80%, and they're almost dead on 40-40.
Yeah. So both of them are one-time purchases, but packages where the fulfillment is spread out. Do you typically have people buying again, or is it kind of one and done?
So typically, there's not a ton of people in the group program that buy again. Most of the time, we're sort of giving them a package deal and talking them through our program in a way where they feel good enough to be able to sort of go on and run their budget on their own. The one-on-one clients, I need to go and pull the exact numbers, but the one-on-one clients of the people who work with me over and sign up for my more in-depth, hey, we're going to work together for 3 to 5 months. About 20% of those people will go on to some sort of regular scheduled routine. So either a once a quarter check-in or once every 6 months check-in, just to see, hey, what's going on? are, where are your goals at now? How are you doing towards those? And it gives me a chance to jump in there with them.
Yeah.
I should say, maybe for context that helps, and we'll get into this probably with here in a minute, but we have built our business, and I say we, me and my wife have built our business around sort of building a reputation around one specific budgeting tool.
Mhm.
And so that's what put us on the map a couple of years ago. And so a lot of the people who we work with know that we already have sort of a set of philosophical guidelines, if you will, just by using this certain software tool. Um, and so they all use that program, and I sort of help coach them how to build a budget. And that tool is what we work through.
What's the tool?
So it's called YNAB, short for You Need a Budget.
Yeah.
So
Very nice. That's a whole fun case study just in the YNAB business model and their involvement over the years, which
Yeah,
we
yeah.
use that for our personal finance stuff. But like when they
Yeah.
went from the download stuff, one-time fee
Yep.
to SaaS recurring, it's a way
Yep.
better product now. But that's cool. All right. So your particular business, let's talk about marketing for a minute.
Mhm.
You recently did a free training with someone. You recently did a free training with someone.
Yeah.
It resulted in you getting new clients. Kind of walk us through how that worked, the Physicians Health Services training that you did. What did you do? And what was the result of it?
Yeah. So there's a financial advisor, and for people who aren't familiar with the personal finance world, generally speaking, financial advisors don't do a lot with cash flow budget coaching. They mostly are on the side of handling people's wealth and investments. And so a good friend of mine, his name is Ryan. He runs a company called Physician Wealth Services, and he helps physicians as a financial advisor manage their wealth, invest for them on their behalf. One of the things he noticed was that a lot of his clients struggle with their day-to-day budgeting, their day-to-day money management stuff. And he's tried in the past to get his clients to use a budgeting tool, and that's worked to some sort of extent. But what's nice about when you pair up financial investing with the budgeting stuff is that if someone can get on a budget, they have more money to invest, right? So it sort of helps everybody out. So all that to say, so what we've done is we have sort of two core things that we've partnered together on. One is for his high-end clients, and then one is for his lower membership end clients. So Ryan has two core services. One is his wealth services, his full-fledged. He manages everything for them, their wealth, their investments. And then one is more of a DIY. Let me teach you how to plan your retirement in a membership. So we have two partnerships inside both of those. One on the membership side, I did a webinar for them, just sort of a workshop. Hey, here's how you can set up a budget. Here's what categories you need to think about. We met earlier to tailor this workshop specifically to physicians, right? Physicians have a unique situation because they have a lot of student loan debt, but they also make good money. So how do we attack this from a budgeting perspective based on their setup? So the free workshop for them. And then Ryan has basically got my links out, and then some segment of those people who really need help with the budgeting stuff will come and hire me.
Yeah.
So that's the DIY side. The other side of it is for his high-end clients. He basically has decided to absorb the cost of paying me. So we've sort of done it a little differently on this side. So his high-end clients pay him his flat fee for the year. And then what we've done is I made 3 specific videos, DIY videos that are hosted on his platform on how to set up a budget from a physician perspective. And then Ryan and his company pay me and Mapped Out Money $200 per client. And I do a meeting with each of them after they've watched the videos, just to fine tune anything, answer any final questions they have, make sure they're off to the races, make sure they've got money to be setting up to go towards investments, et cetera. And so what's been nice is we've been running that partnership now for a year, just over a year. And for us, the higher end client partnership has been a lot more beneficial.
Yeah.
And it works out to be right at about a little over $1,000 a month just coming from him, which has been nice because I don't have to do the leads. I don't do anything. I just made the videos for him and his team. And then his clients sign up on my Calendly link. and I do their 45-minute or so calls to help them fine tune it. So that's sort of the two things we have going on.
So two different things. One of them is a training that you do to his bigger low end customers, and another one
Yes,
is kind of a done for you service that you fulfill, and he just sends you people to have a quick call with,
that's
and you make
exactly
about
right.
$1,000 a month from that. So that's the paid for one's really interesting, or the direct like service integration with this company,
Yes.
super interesting approach. The other one, let's talk about it for a minute. When you did the
Yeah.
training with them, how many people were there? Like, how many people are in this community, and what were the
Gotcha.
revenue results of the different products that you sell as a result of partnering with them?
So that it's important for context to know we did that and it was new for him. So this was his first time he had brought in, I think maybe the first time he brought in a guest into his community. So we only had I think we only had maybe 20 to 25 people that were live on that presentation.
Mhm.
And then I had, I got my spreadsheet pulled up here. One second.
Mm,
We had, so I ended up having about 5 people hire me for follow-up sessions.
mm,
And that's that $150 an hour.
yeah,
And I'm looking here and I'm seeing based on the hours that they did, it ended up being around $1,200
yeah,
from that
yeah.
session.
That's awesome. And do you repeat that, or was that a one time deal?
That was a one-time thing that we did. He's in the process of restructuring on his side too, what he's doing with that membership. So I
Yeah.
think we're going to do another one probably later this year.
Mhm.
But he's trying to figure out his next step too, as far as how he wants to structure things on that and bring me in. What he does is with him, his membership is a 12-month program,
Mm,
and budgeting and cash flow planning is like month 3,
gotcha.
right? So I come in as the expert for that month. Is the
Yeah.
way we do it. Yep.
So zoom out for a minute with
Mhm.
him. How did you find him?
We met at a conference years ago at a personal finance sort of conference,
Mhm.
and just hit it off as friends and kept in
Yeah.
touch. We never really thought about partnerships or anything like that
Yeah.
for probably the couple of first years that we knew each other. And then when I started thinking more about maybe trying some partnerships, maybe trying to look at some of my relationships that I had with some people who were needing help, doing some stuff. It just so happened that Ryan and I had chatted a couple of months before that about some of the problems he was facing with his high end clients, specifically about needing to figure out how to get them on a budget.
Mhm.
And so then he came to mind as somebody who might be a good fit when I was thinking about trying to figure out some partnerships.
Yeah. So how did you reach out to him whenever you identified him? Like, hey, I've talked to him recently. He has an
Yeah.
audience that obviously makes sense to work with.
Yeah.
What did you say to him?
So with Ryan in particular, I knew that he was struggling to find the right software tool,
Mm,
right? And so, because he had talked to me about, he was using, I don't want to disparage that software company. He was using another budgeting tool, let's say, at the time, and it just wasn't working. His clients were frustrated. We had
yeah.
talked about this, and so we're close enough that I just texted him. Right, it didn't need to be as formal as an email, and so we just texted and said, "Hey, have you thought about using YNAB, which is the tool I use and sort of am known for using?" And he was sort of playing around, I think, with it on the personal side, so he was somewhat familiar with it for himself.
Yeah.
Um, and so we just started talking, like literally I approached it as like I think it might be a better fit for your clients. Right.
Mhm.
And so then it was just really natural of like, hey, if this is going to be a good fit for your client, you know, what if, like, would you be interested in me maybe doing a training, or like,
Yeah.
what would that do? And so that's how we started the training thing. And then he actually approached me, and that's why I feel really lucky. Once we sort of did this training thing, he was like, hey, like, what do you think about me just paying you
Mm,
to get on a call with every single one of my high end clients? I was like,
yeah.
I like that idea. I think that's a great idea.
Do you find ever the people you get on, the high end people, turn into continual coaching folks, or are they more the one off $200 deal?
Yeah, we haven't on his side. Yeah, we haven't on his side because the way we've structured that one, because his company pays it and it's like a done for you service.
Mhm.
Um, I
Kind of
don't
white
really
labeled.
do it. Now, what
Yeah.
we have done is he's had a handful of clients that need more help.
Yeah.
And so what we've done is on a person by person basis.
Mhm.
He has just offered to pay me a flat fee to meet with that person regularly until they're sort of out. And so if we've done anything more than that one off, it's still been his company paying us as
Mhm.
sort of the agency coming in to do the done for you service.
That's been one interesting thing talking to and even evaluating our own partnerships over the years is somebody, I was talking to somebody the other day and they call this the halo effect. Like you have
Yeah.
your intentional thing that you focus on, which for you initially was the training thing, but then
Hmm.
it turns into just other opportunity.
Yep.
And that's
Yep.
that's sometimes where the magic is like, oh, we
Yeah.
did our training, we made a couple grand, and then we did this, and we've made a couple grand for a lot of months in a row now, and that's maybe better than the original thing, and it's kind of a
Yes.
workflowable, systematizable kind of thing.
Yes.
And not that trainings aren't, but those are things you do maybe a time or two a year, and that's about it
Yep.
for an individual partner. So that's cool. So walk me through on the training piece. How did you go from delivering a training on budgeting and YNAB to getting customers? Like what was the CTA on the presentation? What was the funnel after the fact? Like how did they go from presenter attendee, those 20 something people to,
Hmm.
a handful of people buying?
Yeah. So with his group, because it was a much more intimate setting, what what I typically do, right, is I have a couple of funnels built out for YouTube leads, right?
Mm,
And so they come in there and they download my checklists for setting up their budget and things like that. With his particular group, because it was a little bit more intimate and he had a smaller group and we're getting things kicked off, what I told them was if you need anything or have any questions, send me an email.
yeah.
I just gave my email, which is to me is a lot more, it's way more personable. It's way more easy. And if I was on a presentation with 1,000 people, that probably would be more difficult to do. But in this case, wasn't as big a deal. So I said, just send me an email if you want, whatever you need. And so with those people, every single one of the people that ended up working with me from that presentation, so the 25 down to like the 5, every single one of those people sent me an email. Hey, I know you do one-on-one calls.
Mm,
I'd love to schedule a call. Like it was that easy. It was just, here's my email. Let me know if you need anything.
yeah.
And then they all just reached out and said, I'd love to get on a call. What's your calendar link? That kind of thing. How much do you charge? And let's go from there. So
Super
with
simple.
them, yeah, just super simple, right? Like
Yeah, I love
keep
it.
it easy. Yeah.
So, what do you estimate the revenue from that one partnership total training and the done for you stuff? What's that produced over the time
Yeah.
that, and maybe how long has it been? How many months since you started it and how much revenue in that time period?
Yeah. So we started at the beginning of last year. So January 2020
Okay.
was when we started doing all of it. And let me look here. Hold on. I'll just pull it up. So on the one-on-one coaching side of it, it was right at about 16.8. So that's the high end clients.
Well,
And then the 1,200 from that one presentation that we did. So that puts the total at right at 18,000 over, what is that, 14 months?
yeah,
So,
that's
yep.
that's not insignificant.
No, not at all. Not at all.
How
And,
did, good.
oh, I was just going to say, and again, like the nice thing about it is it's been a huge win for him as well. And I think maybe the most interesting thing that came up when you said the halo effect stuff of like sometimes you do this and then some other thing happens. Looking back now, I could look back and say like, well, yeah, it makes perfect sense. I do budgeting. Financial advisors don't do budgeting.
Right.
This makes sense. Their clients still need it, right? They generate the leads. I just come in and do it. That makes total sense. But for some reason, my brain just didn't ever, like, I didn't think about that ahead of time until like we were in
Yeah.
it. And he was like, hey, why don't we just do something, like with the high end clients? I was like, wow, that, duh.
Yeah.
Like that makes so much sense. So it's funny what you,
Hmm.
I don't know, it's funny what you don't always notice until then.
Have you done more partnerships?
I have. So I did another, I actually did another workshop partnership with another group of financial advisors. As a smaller group, or like a partnership group. There's 3 of them. They all have a firm together out in Colorado,
Hmm.
and I did a training with them for their group. They're very new, sort of getting off the ground. This is the first time they were experimenting with it. That partnership it ended up being right at $1,000,
Cool.
and I came in did a workshop for them, and then ended up having a couple of follow up calls with some of their folks.
Cool.
So it's been, I don't know, the financial advisor partnership with the budgeting thing is really interesting and something I'm trying to look at maybe doing more of as we grow.
Yeah, that seems like a interesting thing to pursue that particular niche. See if you can duplicate the success of the one. If you
Right.
could find 5 of those, that
Yep.
becomes even more significant. How did this approach originally get on your radar?
Well, I mean, honestly, like you guys, because I hadn't thought a lot about partnerships until I took the partnership accelerator in 2019, I think, late 2019.
The years run together.
Do what?
The years run together.
Yes, it all does run together. So, for me, I was lucky enough or blessed enough, however you want to call it, that when I first got into this online world, I knew their relationships mattered. And so I started going to conferences, at least a few a year, to just try and meet people in my space. And so Ryan and I first met back in 2017 at a conference. And so then a couple of years later, when I was reading about what Growth Tools was doing with partnerships and sort of some of the writing y'all were putting out, and um, I'd been making relationships with people, but I hadn't really ever done a lot of collaborating other than, behind the scenes, hey, what's working for you and stuff. And so that's sort of how it first got on my radar. And then it was a natural fit to just go back and look and see who it might make a good fit to do something with.
Yeah. What's appealing to you about this approach to marketing versus other things you've tried?
Um, I think so. I think part of it may be twofold. So one would be I. This sounds arrogant. I like to think I'm okay at building relationships with people, right? And so Ryan and I have hit it off, and we've now become good friends. And I would call us, friends first, and then doing a business partnership thing second. And so I like to think that if I can duplicate that process, right? Just make friends with people in the industry. That leads to my strengths, and so it puts me in a place where I can sort of play in the world that I'm good at. So that's one of the things I really like about it is I just lean on what I naturally already want to do anyways, which is build relationships with people. The other thing that's really nice about it is um, all the obvious stuff like, oh, now I don't have to generate the leads. Ryan has an amazing podcast that is called Financial Residency that crushes it in the physician finance space. That funds his program. And so it's doing great for him. And then every month he just says, all right, we've got 10 new clients this month that all need calls for you. Here's $200 a client, right?
Yeah.
Ready to go. So from that standpoint, it's huge. I think the third thing that feels like a really big win, and this sounds a little cheesy, but it really is fun, is it's important to recognize, at least in my world, the finance world, um, there's nobody who can solve all of the problems for these clients.
Mhm.
There's not one single person who can do everything. And so it just makes sense to have a budgeting cash flow expert partner with a financial advisor who is doing the more long-term retirement planning, partner with a tax advisor who is handling their year-end taxes. Like these people need a couple of different aspects. And so trying to play against each other makes no sense when instead we could all be collaborating and it's a better fit for the clients and a better fit for us.
Yeah, it's wild, just the possibilities that open up when you think like that. Because you could look at almost everyone as a competitor, but almost no
Totally.
one is serving the same client with the same solution. That's what a
Mm-mm.
competitor is. There's a lot of contemporaries or people that are serving similar clients with different solution or similar solution to different types of clients, but rarely do you have total overlap with someone. And no one can know everything. And
Right.
specialties are really nice. Like I think we're decent at marketing, but there's a lot of things we don't know about. So bringing in people to help with that is huge. And I don't know, the mental shift of it's not like audience owners, especially podcast hosts and blog owners and people that run Facebook groups, like they covet having people to come into their audience and teach them those specialties because they get asked about them all the time and they don't have good answers to them because they don't
Yep.
specialize in it.
Yep.
So you being an expert and coming in and providing that, it's not money you're providing to them, although sometimes it could be. It's not traffic or leads you're providing them. You're Dr. Phil on Oprah, you're
Yep.
Dr. Oz on Oprah,
Yep.
where you're providing an expertise that their audience really wants to know about.
Yep.
Okay, last question for you. Any parting advice for someone that's hearing you talk about your story and is interested in potentially doing the same thing? Any advice you would give them or tips you might give them for how to approach that well?
I think so. I think maybe two things. Number one would be a lot of the time you can feel, or at least I can feel some level of imposter syndrome around what do I really have to offer these people.
Mm,
And so like when Ryan and I first started dreaming about something like this, I had never worked, or I hadn't worked much with physicians, right? And they have their own set of unique sort of problems that they're facing because they don't start earning real money until they're 32 years old, and they're starting behind the eight ball because they got a couple $100,000 of medical school debt. I'd never worked in that capacity and coached someone through dealing with that. But Ryan had. And so even though I felt a little bit of imposter syndrome beforehand, it didn't take me long to just get on a call with Ryan. Okay, give me some context for these people. Like, where are they at? What's going on? How do you typically approach these unique situations that they have? So I would just say, don't be afraid to push yourself a little bit, even if you're not super comfortable in that very specific situation. And don't be afraid to ask the person you're partnering with for some context on the unique problems that your people are facing. That'd be one thing I would say. The other thing I would say is, for me in particular, the idea of like digging the well before you need it. I think I heard Jordan Harbinger say that on a podcast once, but that idea of some of the partnerships I've done, I didn't know the people until we just initiated it, like the financial advisors in Colorado. That was the case. But in like Ryan's case and in some of the others, I tried to put myself out there and build relationships with people and find friends in similar spaces long before I knew what those friendships or partnerships might turn into down the road. And so just always be thinking about when you're meeting new people, either online, on Twitter, or at conferences in person or whatever, when we can go back to conferences in person.
Hopefully soon.
Hopefully soon. Be thinking about the fact that like you have no idea what this could turn into 5 years from now. So just treat everyone with like respect and try to be kind and gracious and thoughtful and helpful and empathetic when you're meeting anybody. And you have no idea where that could go down the road. So just digging that well before you need it, kind of thing.
That's great. The simplicity of your story is inspiring and the results are awesome. So I hope people hearing this will be inspired and will attempt to do the same thing. So thank you so much for sharing your story, Nick.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me on.
All right. Thanks for listening in on my conversation with Nick True. If you want to check out his business, head over to mapped-out-money.com. If you want my team and me to audit your business, find the partnership opportunities that you have, just like we did for Nick, and coach you through executing them, let's talk. Go to growthtools.com/apply. We'll set up a free strategy call with you. We'll talk through your business, show you the same approach for borrowing other people's audiences and how it could work for you. Identify the companies you could partner with, map out a full marketing plan for you to reach consistent 5 and 6 figure months in your business. So go to growthtools.com/apply and book that call now. Hope to talk to you soon.